Quick, do-it-yourself trophy base? Hi, I'm Chris, and welcome to the Throne Maker Workshop. I have a friend that made his own metal forge. He poured molten aluminum into a bucket filled with water-absorbed Orbeez. The result is an interesting and random shape. I will have a couple of videos in the description showing how it is done. My friend asked me if I could make some wooden bases that his 4 creations could be mounted on. Sure, I said. No problem. I can crank those out in no time. So, 2 months later, I got a 6-foot length of 2x4 pine. It has some knots in it, but I think I can get 4 relatively clean squares out of it. By the way, I really like my crosscut square I made. It makes very nice and accurate square cuts with a handheld circular saw. First, I trim off one of the rounded edges for each blank. Then I readjust the fence to trim the other side. Next, without moving the table saw fence, I cut off one end of each to complete a square. As you can see here, I am standing to the side. I don't know if the thin pieces falling inside my saw will kick back at me. Here I use 2 45-degree angles clamped to my crosscut sled. I cut off corners to make octagon shapes. I need to be careful. I don't want to cut too far or I might... Oops, did I do that? I want to put a decorative edge with the OG bit, but I don't want to hog through all that wood. So I looked at the angle and depth of the cut with the OG bit and cut the angle just shy of the depth of that bit. And since my wood isn't a perfect octagon, I need to make 2 different sets of cuts. Even though I hogged out most of the wood, it was slow going. I'm still happy. It made a stunning edge. Sanding, my worst enemy. It took me more time to sand all the nooks and crannies than it took to cut the wood. I started with 80 grit and worked my way to 220. In the end, they felt silky smooth. It is a good idea to have everything ready and prepared before you start staining. You might think that applying stain with a paper towel is wrong, and you would be right. But as long as the paper towel doesn't shred, I find that I can control the color of the stain much easier and without any brush strokes. I build up the thickness of the lacquer by spraying on several thin coats. I take some 400 grit sandpaper and lightly sand off the imperfections and nibs before I spray more coats of lacquer. I wanted to try out a new technique. I just recently found out to get a glossy smooth finish, instead of sanding, I'm using a paper bag. I'm actually quite amazed at how well it worked. Now this part is a little more difficult to explain. I am mounting the aluminum with aluminum screws. I want the screws to go inside the thickest part of the aluminum so you can't see them. I have to kind of guess at where that would be. I have the screws sort of sticking up through the surface, so I can figure out where the screws will go into the aluminum. I would kind of get a starter hole put into the bottom of the aluminum for the first screw. Then hopefully the second screw would go in without being seen. I would hold the aluminum and the base in one arm and awkwardly try to drive the screw in with the other. And with a lot of dumb luck, it worked 4 times. My friend can now proudly display his aluminum sculptures anywhere.